So, imagine this. You sit down to run a D&D session, and your player asks, "What's the name of the kingdom we're in?" You stare at them blank-faced and blur out, Kingdomia. Let's avoid that, shall we? Welcome to a crash course in building a world that is more than just Kingdomia. We're going to explore 6 creative approaches to give your world depth, flavour, and enough intrigue to keep your players hooked. Whether you're starting fresh or looking to flesh out an existing world, these tips will help you build a setting that feels alive. World building can seem like a monumental task, but don't worry, it's not about creating everything at once. It's about starting with what excites you and letting that naturally grow. So, let's dive in and make your world unforgettable. When world building, it's tempting to create an entire map with detailed histories for every kingdom, but trust me, that's a one-way ticket to burnout. Instead, start with a single town, or maybe a region, where your players will begin their journey. Flesh out the immediate area, geography, local culture, and the NPCs they might interact with. Add layers of detail only as your players explore further. By focusing on a smaller scope, you can create a setting that feels rich and alive without overwhelming yourself. For example, let's say your players are starting in a bustling port town. You might decide that the town is famous for its shipyards and exotic trade goods. What's the local economy like? Who are the key figures? What secrets lure in the alleys at night? Answering these questions give you plenty of material for early adventures, while leaving room for improvisation. And remember, if your player asks about something you haven't fleshed out yet, it's okay to give a broad, flexible answer, like a distant kingdom is ruled by a council of merchant princes, and add the details later. Great DMs are actually great remixers. They don't hesitate to take inspiration from their favorite books, movies, or even real-world history. Find something you love, like political intrigue of Game of Thrones, the mysticism of ancient Egypt, or the exploration themes of Star Trek, and adapt that to your world. Inspiration is everywhere, whether it's from historical events, mythology, art, or even your favorite video games. They can provide the spark for a compelling setting. But here's the trick. Don't just copy things. Blend it with other ideas to make it your own. For instance, you could take the ancient Egypt aesthetic, mix it with steampunk technology, and create a civilization powered by clockwork gods. Maybe their society relies on massive gear-driven machines to maintain their city, and now those machines are breaking down. How does that affect the people that are living there? By combining familiar elements in new ways, you can create something that feels fresh and engaging. Pro tip: keep a running list of things that inspire you. This could be anything, from a movie scene to a historical event or fact, or a piece of concept art. When you need ideas, revisit the list and see, can you weave those elements into your world. A believable world is a build on cultures and conflict. Think about that. What makes each region or a faction in your world unique? What are their values, traditions, and struggles? Most memorable settings are the ones where every place feels like its own identity and history. When you're designing a culture, consider how the environment shapes it. A deserted kingdom might have a strict water law and celebrate rain with elaborate festivals. A mountain kingdom could have a deep, ingrained warrior culture because they're constantly defending against raiders. Each of these details don't just add flavor, they create massive opportunities for storytelling. Conflicts, big or small, are the engine of drama in your world. They don't have to be world-ending doomsdays. Sometimes the best stories come from a smaller, more personal struggle. A coastal city-state could thrive on trade, but suffer from corruption among its traders, merchants, and lords. Maybe a guild rivalry threatens to tear the city apart. These conflicts can serve as the backdrop for your players, or provide direct hooks for them to engage with. Also, think about how these cultures and conflicts interact. How does a militaristic kingdom view a pacifist neighbor? Do trade agreements spark tensions or allies? These relationships make your world feel interconnected and alive. NPCs are the lifeblood of your world. A few well-crafted characters can make your setting feel alive. Focus on creating a handful of memorable PCs with distinct personalities, goals, and quirks. These characters don't just populate your world, they invite your players to interact with. Think of NPCs as the bridge between your players and the world you've built. For example, instead of a generic innkeeper, make them a retired adventurer who loves swapping stories about the glory days. Maybe they even have a treasure map tucked away, just waiting for the right group of adventurers to come along and take it. Or consider the town blacksmith who's secretly funding a rebel alliance against a corrupt mayor. By giving your NPCs motivations and secrets, you create opportunities for your players to uncover layers and layers of the world throughout their interactions. And don't forget to make your NPCs dynamic. If the players help the blacksmith's rebellion succeed, how does that change their role in the town? What new opportunities or challenges arise with that? NPCs with evolving goals and relationships make your world feel reactive and alive. Every world needs secrets. Hidden lore, ancient runes, and mysterious artifacts make your setting feel larger than life. These elements don't have to be fully fleshed out at the start. Just plant the seeds and let your players' curiosity lead the way. For example, your players might stumble upon an ancient statue with glowing runes in a forgotten forest. You don't need to know the entire backstory yet. Is it a relic of a lost civilization? A dormant magical entity? Let their questions and actions shape the answers. Discovery doesn't have to be limited in the grand mysteries. Small details can evoke wonder. Maybe the local tavern has a secret menu for enhanced drinks, or the forest outside the town is known for its whispering trees. These touches create a sense of depth that make your world feel alive. The key is to leave the breadcrumbs of intrigue that encourage exploration. Remember, not every mystery needs to be solved. Sometimes leaving things ambiguous keeps the players engaging and speculating. They'll keep filling in the blank with their imaginations, and they'll keep making the world feel more real. And finally, the best worlds are shaped by the players themselves. Give them choices that matter. Let their actions influence the world around them. Maybe their decision to ally with one faction sparks a war with another, or their failure to stop a villain causes an entire city to fall. And also, player agency doesn't just mean giving them big choices. It's about letting their actions ripple through the world in meaningful ways. If they save the village from bandits, how does the village grow over time? If they destroy an artifact, what are the long-term consequences? By showing the impact of their decisions, you make the players feel like an active participants in the story. Encourage your players to invest in the world by asking for their input. Maybe one of them want their character to have a connection with a specific region, NPC, or faction. Well, incorporate their idea into the world's history and culture. Collaboration not only deepens the player's engagement, but it also takes some of the world building pressure off of you. I know world building can seem overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Start small, remix your ideas, and let players help shape the story. Remember, you're not just creating a setting, you're crafting a playground for epic adventurers. Every map you draw, every NPC you create, and every mystery you plant adds another thread to the tapestry of your game. Well anyways, if you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own world building advice in the comments. I'd love to hear what you come up with. Whether it's a quirky NPC, a fascinating conflict, or an unforgettable mystery. Anyways, until next time, happy DMing.